Hello again, we are back with Mrs Lockhart's Arty Adventures, and I have an amazing week. It's been so lovely every day seeing the wonderful rainforest pictures that you've been making and the amazing snakes that you've been doing with your family. I've had some fabulous videos from Isabel, Jamie, Astrid, showing me just how long their snakes were, taking me through their houses, into the gardens, and at the minute, because I have to film this before next week, the longest at the minute is Jamie at 36 metres. So by the time you might see this video next week, there might be an even longer snake out there. But I was just delighted that you all rose to the challenge and had a real good fun making your anacondas last week. Now we have been thinking about where we'll go for the letter C, and I've also had lots of responses for that. I know Alexander had been to lots of different places, and Christopher again was telling me where he would like to go. So we have got a huge list of places now. We've got Cardiff, I think Mrs Pullen wanted to go there. We've got Cambodia, Chile, China, where else? The Cayman Islands, the Caribbean. Lots and lots of places. So I'm quite excited because a lot of these places I've never been to. So let's have a look in the box and see where we're going to go to today. And Canada today. I have never been to Canada. So it's the largest country in the Western Hemisphere, and it's the second largest country in the world. So it's above the United States of America, and it covers a huge expanse from west to east, which covers 6 different time zones. So if you were going across the country, you would have to keep changing your clock 6 times along the way as you kind of went through a different time zone. Now it has half of the world's lakes in it because it's a very beautiful country, it's very natural. So of all the lakes in the world, half of them are in Canada. And as well as the lakes, you've got beautiful mountains, frozen glaciers, incredible wildlife, including bears, moose, lions, beavers, and raccoons of all things. So we've got lots of different creatures that we might come across in Canada. And because it's close to the Arctic Circle at the top, you might also see the beautiful things like the Northern Lights, which would be amazing. So this will be a wonderful place to visit. And now I had a look around my house to see if I've got much in Canada. Because I've not been there and I don't know that many people that have, there isn't a huge amount. So in my suitcase today, I only have, I'm afraid, a grizzly bear who's not looking so grizzly, but we might find a grizzly bear in Canada, so you have to be a little bit wary on your travels. And a little baby bear to go with him, so the little mummy bear might be a bit protective. I have found some maple syrup in my house, which is delicious. Now 80% of the world's maple syrup comes from Canada, from the sap of the tree, and then it gets made into maple syrup. And you see that leaf, the maple leaf, when on the Canadian flag. So you might have found the flag and realised there's a leaf on it, which is the maple leaf. Now the other thing I could think of when I thought of Canada is totem poles. So I don't know if you've heard of a totem pole. I've had a go at making one out of Duplo there. That might be something you want to have a go at. But a totem pole. Now totem poles are created by the Aboriginal Canadians that have been in Canada the longest amount of time. They're also known as the First Nation people. And they have lots of traditions that they've carried on throughout over history, and one of those traditions is making totem poles. And they're monuments that are kind of, you find around, I think it was the northwest of Canada, and they represent and commemorate the history of people, places that have taken place, or their kind of families. So I thought this might be something quite nice to do today, to think about our families and how we might represent them. So most display beings or animals that have been carved out of a tree trunk, and these then symbolise different qualities, different things about those animals that maybe reflect the people and the families. So we might be wanting to think about today how maybe if you could think of an animal that reflects your personality or qualities about you or symbolises those things, what animal would it be? So when we're looking at totem poles, we often see eagles, bears, thunderbirds, whales. They're traditional animals that you might find in Canada. We might find other animals because we're in the United Kingdom. You might have other animals that you associate yourself with, or other people in your family. Now traditionally you find totem poles in different parts of Canada. You find them as house poles that kind of holds up the main beams of the house, and they're kind of at the entrance of a house. So you might have a pole that goes at the entrance of a house. You might also have a welcoming pole that welcomes people to a certain place, a certain location. So what we want to do today is have a think about if we were going to make a totem pole, what would it look like and who would be on your pole from your family, and think about where we'd put it. So I think what we need next is you to have a little thing, get some paper, some felt tips, if you've got any toilet rolls, things like that, or any sort of roll, like a kitchen roll would be good, or a Pringles pack like that, then see if you can bring anything like that with you, and we're going to have a little think about how we can make our own totem pole today. Fabulous, see you in a minute. So hopefully you've managed to gather a few bits of material, a bit of paper, pens, pencils, pencil crayons, whatever you can get hold of. Don't worry if you've not got any tubes, we can still work with this anyway, but you might have gathered those kind of things. And maybe you've had a think about the kind of animals you might want to represent in your totem pole for certain members of your family. Now while you were getting your bits together, I went and did a bit of research of my own to try and find out what kind of animal the people in my family would like to be. So watch this and see what we find out. Ah, Thea, I've been looking for you. Hi, Mum. Right, I am going to make a totem pole about our family. Okay. So I would like an animal to represent each of us. And I was wondering, is there any animals that you're quite attached to? Or
cows.
You like?
One, cow 2, cow 3.
Perfect. I'll write that down and I'll have a go at that. Now I would like you to do an animal about Grandad. So I want you to have a think about Grandad and create an animal to go on there and bring it back to me in a little while, and we're going to add it to our totem pole. Can you do that?
Oh, yeah, Evie, there you are. Hi, Benny. Evie, I'm going to make a totem pole about the family. Are there any animals that you feel quite attached to?
Rabbits.
Rabbits. Ah, right. That gives me an idea. Thank you, Evie. Right, I'm going to give you this, and I would like you to create an animal about Nanny that you think she is most like, that we could add to our totem pole. Do you think you can do that?
Yep.
Thank you. I'll see you in a bit.
Ah, Stan, there you are. Thought I might find you round here up a tree. Now, I'm making a totem pole about our family, and I'm trying to think of an animal to represent each of us in our family. Is there an animal that you think we might most relate to connect with? Can you think of one?
Ape.
An ape, a monkey. You are a bit of a cheeky monkey, and you do like climbing trees. That sounds like a good one. Now, Stan, I'm going to create your monkey. Could you create an animal that most represents Pop? Can you think of one and make me a section of the totem pole and bring it back to me in a little bit? Do you want to take that? I'll see you in a bit. Be careful. So going on the information Evie and Theo Stanley have given me, I've got a rabbit, a cow and a monkey to play with. And then I was trying to think of what animal would I be, and I must admit what sprang to mind was a squirrel, because I do like keeping things. It's a bit lethal. I'm quite a planner and I like to be prepared, and often by being prepared that means you think of everything you possibly need. So I do collect things, as you might have realised over the different sessions we've had and the various bits of junk and stuff I keep hold of. So I'm going to make myself a squirrel, and first of all on my paper I'm going to have a go at drawing out a squirrel. I might draw it with a pen just for you. Usually I do it in pencil, but just so that you can see on the screen, I'll have a go in pen. So drawing myself a squirrel. We're trying to add maybe some of the qualities of the totem poles. They use quite simple colours, kind of 2 or 3 colours in the colour scheme, and quite a lot of patterns added to it. So whether we can incorporate those, it's up to you. But if you've had a chance to look at some of the traditional poles, then maybe you would like to add those kind of markings and patterns to your design. I'm just going to sketch out my idea of a squirrel, and then I'll be cutting out my squirrel. Now there might be, you'll see on some of the totem poles that some have sections that stick out, so it's not all just a pole as such. So depending, it's a bird with wings, you might have wings sticking out, maybe, what I think, what other, and it might be kind of horns or antlers or ears sticking out. So have a think if you want to build onto your toilet roll or something you want to add, so that there's a 3-dimensional kind of relief sticking out to see. Now I might cover up my Pringle pack first so we don't have to see it's a Pringle pack. I'm going to peel that off, and I've used some double-sided tape there. Don't worry if you've not got double-sided, a little bit of tape on one end before you wrap it, and then going around just to cover up the fact it's Pringles, because we don't necessarily want to know. And then I'd colour my squirrel in, but then that could kind of be added to the front, and then its tail could be kind of left hanging free. Now, so I've done a squirrel for me, and then I'll be having a go at doing the cow, the monkey and the rabbit. So we've completed our family totem pole so far. We had me as a squirrel, the hoarder, the gatherer of things, the preparer. We've got Sally the monkey who loves climbing and cheeky qualities. We've got Evie the bunny, very artistic, creative, and likes movement and moving around. And we've got the cow, someone that likes, Theo likes being at home, very home comforts, and that very much represents Theo. Now, Theo, I asked you to create something for Grandad. Have you brought something for me to add for Grandad?
An owl.
An owl. And why do you think Grandad's like an owl?
Because he's very wise. And he also likes birds a lot.
Oh, like he does like birds.
And an owl is a type of bird.
Fantastic, thank you, Theo. Right, Stan, what did you do? You were doing Pop, weren't you? What have you chosen for Pop?
A frog.
A frog. Why do you think Pop's like a frog?
Because frogs like to hop around in water, and Pop is kind of like water because he likes plumbing and is very peaceful and kind.
Ah, that's a good one. And Pop does like water, and he's been a plumber all his life, so he's always been working with water and pipes and things. So that's a really good one. Good idea, Stan. And Evie, what did you do for Nanny?
A swan.
A swan. That's a beautiful swan. That was quite hard as well because you were thinking how are you going to make the neck come out. So well done for creating a little 3D swan's head there. Why do you think Nanny is like a swan? Let's see if I can.
Because she's elegant and graceful and very loving.
Ah, lovely. Look at our family totem pole.
Wait,
Fabulous.
we forgot Dad.
Oh yeah, Dad.
Uh-oh. Oh no. What qualities would we have to do? What animal could we
He's
do? for that?
strong,
Maybe a gazelle.
Mm, a gazelle.
selfless,
Wow, selfless, strong,
Yeah, and
kind.
Confident.
So I think a gazelle, something like
A
that.
buffalo.
Buffalo.
I don't know.
Right. So let's see if we can rustle something up between us. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow! What have you been making, Daddy?
That does sum Dad up.
That's like a carved totem pole that you would get from an actual tree. I love the way you've used the cardboard. Fantastic. Maybe if you're feeling really ambitious at home, you could have a go at creating a 3D totem pole head like this. Have a go at home. We shall see you next week when we will be going to somewhere beginning with D. Bye for now.